there.
We're about to find out. The first move of Game 2, ladies and gentlemen, of the FIDE World Championship 2023 has been played. And it is indeed 1d4, to which Jan responds by developing his knight. All right, next question. What is Jan going to play on move 2?
It must be e6. Must be e6. He
He's
did play the Grunfeld in the
Grunfeld.
past. In the past, exactly. But in the World Championship match and in the candidates, he's stuck to e6.
Great call. And ding, no Nimzo for us today. He develops the knight to f3.
It's got to be the
And
Catalan.
nepo.
Yeah.
And indeed, whoa!
What? He mouse slipped. The G pawn is the one. It's the other one. It's not that one. It happens, you know.
h3?
The board is
No,
long.
he's
and
played
you just-
h3.
It happens. I mean, he tried to play g3. The hand slipped to the right, and this is crazy. This is crazy. Wow.
h2, h3 has just been played on move 4 of this Queen's Gambit declined position. Not g3, folks. That's the Catalan. h3. Preparing g4. Have you seen this move before? Anish, I have so many questions right now. There's so much going through my head. There's so much going through Jan's head right now. What's happening?
Well, first of all, it's clear that Richard he has been involved.
He's behind this.
He's behind this. Richard is now smiling, you know, listening to. Unfortunately, I'm also not really aware of the. He's like 80s. I don't know where. Probably Abba is somewhere there, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it's it was before. You probably know better. But yeah, the h3. It's clearly the cooking of rapport. That's a crazy move. What I can tell you, I know is kind of common, is after knight c3, bishop e7, the Queen's Gambit declined. Here, I believe h3 is a thing. Maybe directly. I think directly. Or yeah, I think it's directly. And after castle,
And is the idea to prepare g4?
No, I think it's something else. I'm not even sure. It's a bit embarrassing. I'm supposed to know what is the idea. I think it was takes and bishop f4, and somehow it made some sense, but not much. Not much. Here, I mean, so the big question is, we have to compare, of course, all the possibilities. Now, I think you can play the Queen's Gambit accepted now. Basically, these are all the Queen's Gambit accepted moves. Now, most likely you go e3, right? So
right, and then
knight c3, you got some,
bishop
some
e4,
strange
maybe.
Vienna. Yeah, but that's like a Vienna where you go h3. That's even weirder. So more.
Well, listen, every opening where you go h3 is going to be weird by definition. Queen's Gambit accepted with h3 is also, you know,
check?
not the most palatable option.
Queen a4 check, maybe, but let me think how it compares to things I know. Yeah, it doesn't compare too badly, actually. Queen a4 check.
Black blocks, presumably
Yeah,
with the knight or the
maybe with
bishop.
the knight. Knight d7 looks the most normal here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, what I expect most normal is to go e3. And then let's say Black just plays the Queen's Gambit accepted. Here takes, and let's say a6. Then we've got this tabia, probably white castles, where there's this tabia with the pawn on h2, where white goes b3 or bishop e2 or knight c3 or knight d2 or even e4 or a4 or queen e2. I don't think they go h3 very often, but they kind of can. I don't think they do so very often. The point is, of course, that Jan doesn't really play the Queen's Gambit accepted, so he just wants to take him out of book. Of course, there's no advantage here for white. No major advantage. That cannot be the case. But it's a way to take him out of book. Now, let's see how can Jan transpose to what he plays. After knight c3, Jan plays two openings. He plays the Tarrasch with c5, cd5, cd4.
This fashionable line.
Yes, and before that, he used to play the Ragozin, so he knows both of them pretty well. But that's kind of pretty much all he knows about this position, I believe. Now here, you could definitely play the Tarrasch, but not the CD one, because now the knight's not attacked. You'd have to go ED, which is not the Tarrasch that he plays with isolated pawn. I don't think he would go for this. H3, of course, is a kind of a waste of time, but the isolated pawn is still present. I'm not sure he will like that. Now the Ragozin is not really possible, because I'm not going to place the knight here. I'm going to play bishop to d2, I suspect.
And this is more like a Bogo Indian type of kind of thing going on.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, you can pretend it's a Catalan, but it's really not a Catalan, because my bishop is not going to go here. I mean, so one thing is clear for Jan, like he is taken out of his opening repertoire. Like he cannot transpose into a structure that he knows, or he's taken out. The good thing for Jan is that, well, any opening he chooses now, be it Queen's Gambit accepted or the QGD or even the Tarash or even the Semislav, any opening will be okay because he gets a good version. White is also not worse.
Right. And to get straight the kind of philosophy behind the move h3, I think broadly you can categorize crazy opening moves into two buckets. The first is, for example, after d4, knight f6, c4, g6, there's this h4 move that's been all the rage lately. And you're kind of going for the kill, right? This is not a move. This is a move you play for surprise value, but it's a move that you play because you want to go h5 and checkmate black down the h-file. The move h3 seems to be played for an altogether different reason. This is the second bucket where, from what you're explaining, Anish, he's basically trying to... Ding is willing to accept a slightly inferior version of many different types of openings, but none of them are openings that Jan necessarily feels at home in. So he's saying, yeah, listen, the position is equal, but I would know the resulting ideas better than Jan. Is that a good way to characterize the philosophy behind h3? Because preparing g4, maybe you play g4 in some positions, but I really don't think that's the primary idea of h3. It looks like a waiting move, by and large.
Exactly. And Dania, you are saying what I think, but in a proper English. I think we should work more together. You're doing a great job. It's exactly what I wanted to say, except my ability to speak English is not matching yours, so I was unable to articulate exactly that. And you are exactly right. G4 is not the point. It is indeed a waiting move. And while Ding accepts an inferior version of an opening that Jan is not comfortable in, he's not accepting a worse position by no means, because he had an extra tempo with the white pieces. He's still not worse. He's not much better, but position is roughly equal. And what we see today, similar to what we saw yesterday, and that is one beautiful thing about playing a match against someone other than Magnus Carlsen, is that now people are no longer afraid to just play chess on equal terms. They're both confident. They both believe that they're better than the opponent. And and that can only be the case when you pit two players of equal strength against each other. And when they played against, had Ding played against Magnus Carlsen, probably wouldn't have done that, because Magnus's weaknesses are not playing chess. His weaknesses are opening preparation. So you really try to squeeze the most out of the opening. You try to go for the long lines that Magnus doesn't want to memorize, that he doesn't memorize well, and you really try to extract the most from the opening. Whereas when Ding plays Nepo, Ding thinks, if I get a position where Jan is not familiar with the position, I'm a better player. Nepo yesterday thought exactly the same. And that's a beautiful thing about having a match where two players are very close in strength.
And I want to unpack, Anish, what is going on in Nepo's mind right now, as he's taking now 7.5 minutes and counting, looking up at the skies there, trying to figure out the proper response to h3. I did have a minor question about possibility of seeing h6 here and responding to a waiting move with a waiting move. Then it occurred to me that h6 creates a target on the king side. So anytime black castles, g4, g5 actually then does become a serious attacking idea. But Jan seems to be the kind of guy who could do something like h6 or maybe a6, something maximally flexible to try to toss the ball right back into white's court. But more broadly speaking, Anish, I just wanted your thoughts on what you think is going through his mind right now. Is he just busy choosing the line? Has he figured out why h3 is played, or is he still trying to get his bearings and really pinch himself and make sure that Ding actually did just play for h3 in this position?
Well, I mean, you pinch yourself very quickly because you got to react to your opponent, and it's a World Championship match. There's no time to philosophize. It's really a matter of action and a matter of solving problems. So I think he was sort of shocked for 10 seconds, and then he started thinking. Now, there might be a small thought going through his head where he regrets not having taken a very brief look at this move. Because it makes sense to look at it a little. Yeah, of course he plays the Queen's Gambit accepted. I think that feels by far like the most critical option. h6, a6 is something you play in a title Tuesday, where you want to sort of show your opponent, I don't care about your psychological pressure. I also play h6, a6, whatever. Let's have fun. But in a World Championship match, it's a different story. You have a lot of time. You want to make the best move. And I think DC, I would intuitively also think that Queen's Gambit accepted is the opening that is the most principled. when you waste a tempo with a move like h3. And Jan is somewhat familiar with Queen's Gambit Accepted. He had a game with the white pieces against Gukesh in the recent tournament, the last one he played in Germany. So he knows something about Queen's Gambit Accepted. Maybe not too much, but some ideas. He has some plans with the white pieces. He knows